Post editorial today because it gets to the question of fouling, of breaking the rules, of going, basically saying things that even the totally independent people say is dishonesty. Here it is, quote, Washington Post. Through all the flip-flops, there's been one consistency in the campaign of Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney. A contempt for the electorate. How else to explain his refusal to disclose essential information? How, other than an assumption that voters are too dim to remember what Mr. Romney has said across the years and months, to account for his breathtaking ideological shifts? Within limits, all candidates say and do what they have to say and do to win. Mr. Romney, by contrast, seems to be betting that voters have no memories, poor arithmetic skills, and a general inability to look behind the curtain. There you have your Wizard of Oz reference.
A contempt, really, for those voters, and he's counting on those same sort of 47%. It's almost like he's in Men in Black, and he thinks he's got one of those flashy things where he can just say something and then completely reverse himself and count on not being called for it. And I got to tell you also, between fouling and I think that the way that Mitt Romney is run, in a lot of ways, if this is the way you can win a presidency, if he can win this way, I think it says horrible things about our politics.
Well, using the word lie, if you're going to completely fool your base,
your own base,
you might do it in a way. We might fool everybody.
He either lies to them or he's lying to everybody else.
He's always lying to the base. He's lying in the middle. I think one of the essential questions that will be answered on Tuesday, I hope it's settled on Tuesday, is does BS work? Can you put out these Jeep ads when you have the head of Chrysler, the head of GM, you have every newspaper, not every, most newspapers in Ohio on the front page calling you out, and you just still stick to it, come hell or high water. Neil Newhouse, the poster from Mitt Romney, put it best in August when he said, we will not be dictated to by fact checkers. That's the type of campaign they've run, and we're going to find out on Tuesday if this can work.
Let me put another stake in this guy's heart, okay? And this is bipartisan, nonpartisan. Jimmy Carter's problem in the presidency, and I worked for him, came down to this. In the primaries, he ran as an outsider, as a relatively conservative candidate against 4 or 5 liberals and won.
Sure.
Then when he got the nomination, he became Eleanor Roosevelt. He became a classic liberal, a Mondale, you know, a Humphrey. And when he got into office, nobody in the White House knew who he was. He had certain people who thought he was a liberal, certain people thought he was a conservative. Nobody knew where he stood, and he never quite got it together.
You're right, Michelle Bachmann.
And that's what happens when you do the two-face in sequence. Anyway, here's some breaking news from New York. WNBC reports that the New York Marathon, scheduled for Sunday, has been canceled. This is a big decision by Bloomberg. Mayor Bloomberg repeatedly insisted it would be held despite intense criticism that it would pull police and other resources away from the recovery effort after Hurricane Sandy. By the way, the big problem, I believe, was Staten Island. Staten Island was in big trouble. That was going to be the starting point. They didn't want all those people coming out there from all around the world. At the very moment they're trying to deal with a real problem, like water.